Tell off everybody. I'm sorry, I'm back again. I'm going to go live to Tash. What we're going to do is we're going to do this a little bit different, just because it's so incredibly loud there. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Tash. She's going to walk through the crowd, and you can listen to what is happening down there. And then I will cut it off when we're ready to go offline. So I'm going to hand it over to Tash right now.
So, I'm going to give my wife just the one that's Jayla, for 72 days of being a jailer. It was not easy. He was not an easy prisoner, I tell you that. Sometimes he was smart, sometimes he was not. And the other thing is, for all of you that were able to go to every other protest, good on you. You practiced your right to attend peaceful protests. I salute you. We
This
were
sounds
not
like
able
Hannah
to be here.
Tamaki.
We had the police come to our house to make sure that he was home. And a few things. But reality is we're here, and I want to say this. We were here 18 years ago to the day, standing for families. We had our 3 married children here, and we had 4 grandchildren. Today we have 10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. We are not the sort of people that grow weary in doing the right things and doing good. And there is no way we will allow our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren to fight the fights that we are capable of fighting for. So for the parents out here, for the grandparents, and I know there are great-grandparents here today, I want to say thank you for your courage. Thank you for your aroha. Thank you for the people that you are and the family that you encouraged and supported. I also want to say for those that are unvaxxed and vaxxed, we are the same people. There is no segregation in that. We are one people. We will always be one people. Don't let people say we class ourselves differently. We do not. I'm not going to talk much longer, but all I want to say is I really respect your stance. I must admit he was a hard prisoner, but unconditional love did kick in many, many times. And he was biting at the bit to be here. Those times he was not able to. It was a restraint, but self-discipline. But today is a free day, a day of freedom, a day that we will remember, a day that we will celebrate. So thank you again from the depths of our heart and our beings. God bless you all.
All right. Mr. Speaker of the House, Trevor Mallard, you just lost your job. That lady ought to be your replacement. Okay, I've just got a few minutes they've given me, and then we'll get on to the real stuff. I just want to bring a bit more highlight to what Hannah said. That 18 years ago, her and I and thousands of others came to this very parliamentary grounds. And that day we came here because we had to stand up to protect our families, our children, and our grandchildren's future, as Hannah said. Because even way back 18 years ago, it's almost coming to 2 decades. And I was facing the Prime Minister then, the Honourable Helen Clark. And at that day, I can distinctly remember coming here, and it was called Enough is Enough. Isn't it amazing, ironic, that we're standing here 18 years later and having to say the same 3 words? Enough is enough. That tells you a whole lot, because when we started back there, we were doing it for my son and my 2 daughters. Now, as Hannah said, 10 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. That's my son over there with the Enough is Enough on it. And then my son-in-law and my daughters here and my extended family having to stand and come to the place that's supposed to be protecting us, not punishing us. That I had to stand here with thousands of others to just protect our family from what I believe began the beginning of a government that started to go rogue, decided to turn our nation into something else that we did not want and something else that doesn't belong in this country. This is not the nation I grew up in. This is not the New Zealand I remember, where we had freedoms, where we had our individual rights, that we weren't restricted and controlled and intruded upon and interfered, least of all the government. And yet it's happened. I can recall, and I remember that statue, and I was standing here, and they were allowed up here those days. It was fairly relaxed because there wasn't the tension, the frustration, and the anger. So you can understand, after 18 years, they have not changed course. They have continued the far left liberal agenda, seeped into our country overnight from somewhere. Helen Clark was the instigator. And when I was standing here that day, I was told by a good friend that I have here that worked with the Labour government that she was up there looking out, as they are now. In fact, they've blacked it all out, I understand. They've blacked all the windows out. Put this up, it's like, when does a government hide itself inside the building we own, and we, the people, are out here? You would think, go on. Yeah, that's deserved. You deserve it. This parliament. How can you have a healthy nation if your parliament is very sick? Why would the politicians that we voted in, 120 House representatives, that's what you are, representatives, not for your parties, not for your political flavour, not for parliament. You are representatives for the people. You know, you've got to put your hands together and acknowledge that there are some tough Kiwis out here. On the way here, and thousands more wanted to be here, but they're trapped in the South Island. Not only by the floods and all the weather that came, but somehow they decided, the Transport Minister, I guess, and I think that's Michael Wood, the River of Filth man. The only River of Filth I know. He's the Transport Minister, I think. If I got it wrong, doesn't matter. You guys do that to us, so here's some payback. Somehow the ferries crossing had to be serviced for 24 hours. So those South Islanders who battled road detours that took them an extra 7 hours. I mean, talk about democracy in a free country. And so they couldn't get across. Many of them got trapped. So all our South Island brothers that couldn't make it today, we're standing for you. Now, hold on a minute. You know, if I was the South Island, I'd start declaring itself an independent state. If you so want to cut us off and cut the ferries off, well, you might as well do it alone, South Island. You'd probably do far better, because you were locked down for 2 years and you didn't have a single case of COVID. That's nothing to do with health. Oh, we're going to enjoy a little bit more. Can I have 5 minutes, please, speaker? And so, in the North Island, when there was people wanting to travel down, these are not fruitcakes, weirdos, you know, the fringe element. There's the everyday hard-working Kiwis here, and that's what I am too. You know, shame on our media that go out and start beginning to categorise us and tubby-hole us and say we're this and call you that, conspiracy theorists. You know, the wacky edge. I've been in this country for 64 years. I've worked hard all my life. I've got a farming background. I had my own business in forestry. I'm a musician. I was a great rugby player. And I played league and rugby, and I did well and represented rugby. And I had the Mark II Zephyr. That was the car of the day, Mark II Zephyr. And I carry my crate of Waikato. Yes, sir, the Waikato beer in the back. Some young people won't know what I'm talking about. Those are the days that we're free and young, and we could go and fly like an eagle. We used to drink water out of the tap then, and we're all alive today. We used to leave our cars unlocked on the streets and nobody converted our cars. We used to leave our windows and our front door and back door open, the whole neighbourhood, the neighbourhood and the extended family whānau. That was the police force then. We all looked after each other. Kids could play into the dark and we all got home safely without being molested or abducted. Nobody shot guns at our houses and bullets. The only guns we had as a farming family, and every farmer had a shotgun and a 303 at the front door. And there was never anybody getting shot. In those days, the only thing you shot was rabbits, possums, and cows. That's farmers, mate. I'm all for farmers. Put your hand up and clap for the farmers. Eh? But you know what? That life's gone. I don't necessarily say let's get back to the New Zealand we had. I want to see a new New Zealand created. A better one than what we had before this COVID came. 120 House representatives in the last protest. I wasn't here. I was on my way down, but the police warned me from here in Levin. I got to Levin, and three of the guys driving me down, they said, my lawyer told me if I came down here, I'd be immediately arrested. I said, carry on, boys. They said no. They turned back and took me home. Probably was a wise decision. But I want to say to you that that moment was a critical moment in the history of our country and in the fate of this house behind me. It got to a point, and whatever you thought of the protesters or the protests, that's irrelevant to what I'm about to say. At one point, and we started that message way back in October when we first started, I was always anti-mandates, anti-coercion, and forcing people to take some medical procedure or be threatened to lose your livelihoods. Who'd have dreamed that New Zealand would ever got to that position in place? But this is what happened. And you know, it's important to realise that 1 in 3 Kiwis at the height of the protest movement, working from October 21 to March this year to the unfortunate violent end, I want to say something to you. It was not just in the minds and the hearts of those that are called protesters. I call you people. We had to protest. But in our country, there were 1 in 3 New Zealanders. 1 in 3. I didn't do too well on maths, but I think that's about 1,700,000. I'll take that figure. The media always fudge numbers. 1.7 million Kiwis. Actually, even though it was tentative and they did it from the safety of their houses or their workplaces or the privacy of their bedroom, they said they agreed. They agreed with our message. They agreed with our stand at that point that the mandates must stop. It's damaging our country, it's wrecking our economy, and it's making us into a people that we don't want to be. 1 in 3. At that moment, like today, and Prime Minister, Labour, National, ACT, Māori and Greens, you need to hear this. You don't want to make the same mistake twice. That at that point, At least one. Just one. That was the moment that a backbencher could have been a hero. Who would have put a statue of him or her next to that one. If one politician had the courage to come out and stand because they know they represent the people before towing a party line, we didn't vote you in there to knuckle down and be bullied into towing a party line when the people are demanding that you come and you listen to who employs you, who pays you. You come out there and you are supposed to be representing your constituents, your electorate, the people of New Zealand. It tells you how outdated Parliament is. This politics here in this Parliament is irrelevant to the needs of the progress that people have made over these years, and that's the problem. We've got people who want to live, who want to fulfill their potential, but we have an outdated Parliament. This is what happened. Jacinda Ardern, you know what I'm talking about. It's no use going to the Official Information Act because apparently your members have been told not to write stuff in paper. So we, the public, can't get your devious dealings and behind closed doors so that we can get this all later and really get you to the International Court, which we are heading to. Now, you've got to understand that was a critical moment in the history of New Zealand politics and this nation. So what Jacinda did, no doubt with Hipkins, Robertson, and others who were involved in this, they put together a cross-party agreement. Labour put it together. Now watch this. They sent it across to the Speaker of the House. He's the real, the bully of all bullies. And Trevor Mallard, who's effective at bullying, went to Luxton of National Party. Seymour, who's supposedly been a freedom banner for us and there, but he ain't, of that, and the Māori Party, and of course the Greens. And they said, this is from Labour. This is a cross-party agreement that you will agree with and sign, that you will not let any of your MPs go out that door to speak to the people of New Zealand. Now, right there is hanging by a hair. If democracy wasn't quite dead in our country, it's about to die. They signed it. Luxton signed it. Seymour signed it. Māori Party signed it. And the Greens signed it.
We got a corrupt government in there.
The moment they signed it, they were all signing their political death warrant.
Yes, see you later. They all gotta go.
Even if you love ACT, even if you want to vote for National because you had enough of Labour, that's a bad move. Māori Party and Greens, they all... Do you know what opposition means? By the way, that's the biggest beneficiaries of the country, is the opposition, because they're not even government, they're unemployed officially. So we're paying them a big smack of money, the taxpayers' money, to the opposition. Opposition means, in political terms, and understanding that in political relationships, the opposition is supposed to oppose the government for the people. Now, we were a hurting nation. We were a wounded nation. We had been through 2.5 years of hell, Jacinda. You ripped families apart. People's businesses were collapsed. Over 60,000 jobs. You mandated frontline workers like nurses, GPs, and the midwives. And you also destroyed our education system. Then it's not enough then, and you told the farmers we're going to regulate beyond reasonability. So our farmers are suffering. That's not enough too. She's gone after our firefighters and now undervaluing, underpaying them. Government doesn't even pay for a service that keeps fires out of our cities, towns and houses and anywhere else. But that's not enough. I got some more F's for you. She decided to mess with our freedoms. So it's not just farmers and firefighters, it's also our families and our freedom. She messed and split up families with a vaccine apartheid. We are now defined by a liquid in a little container. You're either vaxxed and unvaxxed. I've always been pro-choice, and I respect the choice of the vaxxed. You are our friends, you're not our enemies. And as Hannah said, the vaxxed and the unvaxxed have both been lied to. And so when they signed that agreement, at that point of moment, democracy was completely killed, the fate of that parliament, and hear me, New Zealand, because I know it's not just here. We have a huge support base out there in the country of New Zealand that couldn't be here today, and they wanted to be here, but there are more people for us that actually is for them. So we can't vote for anybody in that parliament.
They all got to go.
Now Luxton and Act and all of the others in the opposition are going around after taking away your freedoms and your rights and seeing us badly damaged through the bad policies of this government. Now they're coming back saying, vote for me. And I want to put this clearly out to mainstream New Zealand. And I'll talk about it when I finish just in a sec. I want to tell you now, you cannot vote for anybody in this. And you probably say, well, who can we vote for? Well, I'm going to bring you good news today. We don't have to put up with what they did to us. So the opposite, definitely Labour hasn't been supporting this country. He's a Prime Minister who says, she said this, I will be the Prime Minister for all. Jacinda, you said all Kiwis. You would be the Prime Minister for us as well. We're hard-working, midstream, middle families, maybe under and over. There's a mixture of all sorts of people here. We're not fruitcakes. We're not extremists. I'm not an extremist. My evidence of my fruit and my work I've done in this country speaks for itself. I'm a father, a grandfather, a husband, and a great-grandfather. I've worked hard all my life, and I've seen my country go down the gurgler. You said you'd be our Prime Minister. I'm going to ask you, why don't you come out and show face today? And I know you're here. Ask the Minister of Police, Hipkins, to come. Ask the Minister of Police, Chris Hipkins, to come with you. Because a few years ago, the Minister, Chris Hipkins, he actually was here protesting in these grounds. You want to hear this? He was protesting, the Minister of Police, in these grounds. That's cool. They sat in, they had their reason why they protested, and it's a right. But they were charged and arrested. But later on, he received mercy through the court system, and he was discharged. So, Connor, I'm asking, I still got my charges, Chris. And probably what you did was worse than I did, because all I did was speak like this at a protest that I'm allowed to be at, and you charged me, and I got these charges, and I keep getting charges because I'm not guilty. When are you guilty attending a protest and speaking? So I want you to tell the Central Police Station in Auckland to drop all charges against me and my men. And my wife's got charges on her too. You better, I'll come back here 50 times stronger. And you will remove the concrete bollards, because this is owned by the people, the public place. We are not wreckers. We are not violent. We never have been. You guys know it. So I expect you, as I wind this up, that you would come out, Jacinda, One politician should come out. No politicians came out before. Now, I decided, and I'm going to be honest with you, I decided we need to do something about this because there is not a good political platform that represents a large percentage, and it tells me there's about 50% in this country now that want this government gone. Now we've got a weak opposition, got a very weak opposition. They're lame, they flip-flop, they fiddle around. We don't want any more career politicians running our country. I don't want any more power-hungry people on the list who've got no skills and don't know what they're doing. A kindergarten teacher ends up running or being the Minister of Police. That is crazy. So we've created this, and I've got together, and I've been working hard with some good people, and we've now established an umbrella party called Freedoms New Zealand. And it's about to be registered with the Electoral Commission. Now, here's the miracle they said that you couldn't have. Could you unite the small parties? And I thought, yes, that's something I can do. I'm not standing personally myself, but this is something that I could do. I believe I could use what talent and gifts, and there's a whole lot of people in this country right now who could do far better job than a lot of those people in there. And so it's registered, but we now have 3 parties, 3 good parties that have made a commitment. 2 are here today, 1 is in London. 2 have signed a memorandum of agreement. They're totally committed. The 3rd one's just finally getting the sign-off and approval from their people and their board, but they've given the thumbs up. So that's 3 good parties that have already committed and uniting to fight for what is right, to bring a whole new era of politics. We need a new election. We need a new government. And so the people of New Zealand, it's out. I won't say the names right now. Well, I could do if you want.
Come on!
Do you want to?
Let's go!
All right. The first one is the New Nation Party. The second one is Vision New Zealand, which polled. The third one is the Outdoors and Freedom Party for Sue Gray. As I said, Sue and her team are still getting the final things together, but we're quite certain that's a sign-off. We have 2 other parties that are also talking and are very interested. So I'd imagine, you know, as the year rolls on, this is going to be a very powerful political platform. We want you to be represented. We need a decentralised government and get it back into the communities on the ground. But that's all I can say about that. I would love you to, as soon as you see it come up online, to begin to join us. With all my heart, I'm telling you, I've been around for a while and I've supported National, I've voted Winston, New Zealand first, but you know, now I have no confidence in making these mistakes for my children and grandchildren's future. I want something that's sound, that's going to be for the people, has great policies, is going to enshrine the Bill of Rights into supreme law status to protect our individual rights, and this will never happen again. I actually want to call out the Democracy New Zealand Party and also the New Conservatives.
Hi. Sorry about that. I was just recapping. I'm going to give Tash a break from recording that. We'll just watch it for a second. Can you hear me now? Still can't hear me. Can you hear me? No? Okay. Oh. Can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me on YouTube. Okay, good. What I was going to say is I'm going to give Tash a break. She's been recording now for half an hour. We know now that there are three parties that have joined under Freedom NZ. One is the New Nation Party. The second one is Vision, which is Brian Tamaki's party that they had before. And the third one is Sue Gray's Outdoors Party. There are two or three more um, parties that they're in discussion with. So we may have hope for this next election. So keep watching. I'm going to give Tash a break, and we will come back a little bit later. Hope you enjoyed that. We thought it was best for you to just listen instead of us having to talk over what he was saying. It's very good to have clear communication. So we are going to be back with Tash in probably the next maybe hour or so, and yeah, just have a think about what he said about our freedoms and the things that we have. Yeah, sorry, Alex. She's been going for half an hour, so we were just going to give her a break. But anyway, I'll see if she's just messaged. I'll see if there's any more to add to this. Hold on.
And I was still here.
Yes, there is.
Jacinda, you will be voted out, and same with all of Labour and all of National. And you'll be voted out. But guess what? Brian Tamaki will still be in his same job. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, yep. So that's done. All right, that's us for now. So thank you guys. We'll be back a bit later. I hope you enjoyed that. Ka kite anō.